Welcome back to Takacs McGinnis Elder Care Law Hour, where we explore the many issues that arise due to aging, disability, and unexpected illness. I'm your co-host, Tim Takacs, and today we're talking about legislation, specifically legislation relating to seniors.
And in this segment, we're going to be shifting our focus and talking about legislation that's impacted adult daycare services and how these services are licensed. To help us understand that more, we'll have Bill Zavorsky he is the Executive Director from Centennial Adult Care Center and the President of the Tennessee Association of Adult Day Services, and Mary Ann Oglesby Southerly, who is the Executive Director from the Veranda. Welcome, Bill, and welcome, Mary Ann. Thank you so much for being here. Tell us about the different types of adult daycare services and what's out there for folks.
Well, we have respite care, we have adult day services, which is Bill, which would be social and medical models of adult daycare, and they're there all day, versus respite, who's there partial parts of the day, times of the day. So I think that's pretty.
So are there different models, such as a medical model or a social model, and are they governed or governed the same way?
There are. So there are licensed programs and unlicensed programs, and those licensed programs can be broken further down into social model adult day service programs or medical model adult day healthcare programs. And then there's licensure exempt programs, like Mary Ann mentioned, the respite type programs, and truly unlicensed programs as well.
Okay, so licensed adult day services, which is medical and social.
Right.
And then licensed respite?
Respite. We're not licensed per se, but we are required to report to the state, and there are guidelines that we have to adhere to, such as visits from DHS and just like others.
I gotcha.
So does Tennessee guidelines kind of mirror other states, or is there something unique about Tennessee?
Tennessee is rather unique in our region in that Department of Human Services licensed both social and medical model programs exactly the same. Other states that surround us do have dual licensure for adult day services and adult day health care, whereas Tennessee lumps it all together as one service license.
So what's changed recently? How does that affect seniors and your industry?
Previous to July of 2017, programs were allowed to function serving up to 10 individuals per day without a license. And in July of 2017, that changed to 5 or more individuals had to become licensed, at which point that did affect numerous providers that had been operating at 7 to 10 people per day. For example, some of the respite programs, which introduced the next set of legislative changes that came in last year.
Okay, is that you now to talk about that? Okay.
Yeah, that is me. When that law came into effect, it really would shut us down, and it did. Some closed over it. And there's a program in Maryville that it was about to close as well. And so the new legislation allows us to have a respite program, kind of a caregiver day out, like Mother's Day Out, for religious organizations and religious organizations. That's the best way to do it. And so we are governed different than Mother's Day Out / Parents' Day Out, but it did change it, forever. It was a year-long process, I will tell you, to get that in, but we are all legal now, and so it is a respite. Tennessee, Alabama has a great program for respite in churches, Georgia, but Tennessee did not have a provision for churches to have caregiver day out like they do Parents' Day Out.
So how or why did we want to make it change?
Well, because you really can't do it for just 4 people, basically. And so where we could do 10, we were down to 4. And so to heat and cool a church building where it had to be, it was just not financially feasible. And who are you going to tell they can't come? I had 15, so I was going to have to let a whole lot of families. And in Sumner County, there is no other. So.
So when you have 5 or more now, you have to be licensed.
As an adult daycare, which we never were, really. Right. I mean, Bill is. We were not.
Right. And respite, as I understand, that's where it's really like respite for the caregiver.
Right, for the caregiver.
So the care receiver is, becomes a resident or uses your services.
Client. Yes, for 4 hours. It's social-based, just like it used to be, but social-based, activity-based, for a short amount of time.
Right. So why aren't all these programs need to be licensed?
It's a very good question. Before, in the early 90s, there was no licensure in the state of Tennessee whatsoever. And when licensure was even proposed in the early 90s, there was a significant lobbying effort from other larger organizations to allow for unlicensed programs to continue to operate co-localized in assisted living and nursing facilities. And that has changed over time with the nationalization of adult day services really becoming more of the forefront of part of that continuum of care. So there still is a need for an unlicensed service program if there was an exemption such that like the Veranda Ministries and New Providence and Maryville and other respite programs. However, adult day services in general should be regulated and licensed for individuals that are serving more than four people per day.
So what's some of the positives and the negatives about a business being licensed, at a daycare being licensed?
As far as positives, certainly the oversight, governmental oversight, inspections, unannounced inspections, regulatory adherence. Negatives, there really are no negatives per se for being licensed. The negatives for being an unlicensed program is certainly the lack of oversight, unless it is a truly exempt program, which then still adheres to the same licensure, basic licensure guidelines, administrative oversight, etc.
Yeah, because it just kind of seems like to me, if my mom's going there, and I don't care whether there's 3 people there or 20,
right?
I want to make sure that my mom's taken care of.
Sure.
Right.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we have a limited amount of people that can come as well. Mother's Day out does not. Parents' Day out, they can have 300, but we cannot. We have been the new bill capped us at 15, so we can have more days.
Okay.
But per person is how it is done. It's done a certain amount of hours per person, which we divided ours up into 3 days instead of 2 6-hour days.
Right, and that's the licensed, just so our viewers understand,
Right,
that's
that
the
is,
licensed respite model, right?
Yes, that is the model for which will be for respite for anyone. Any church or religious organization that wants to have this program will have to register with the state. And we're in the process of working with DHS to get all of that. I mean, we'll have a blank slate here, so it'll all be new, but you'll have to register.
Right.
And you have visits from DHS as well.
Yeah, I think respite and adult daycare is such an important part of the continuum of services for people. They're trying to take care of a loved one at home, avoid institutionalization, but it seems like one of the biggest barriers is just there's not enough of them out there. So does legislation help or hurt growing those numbers of centers?
I think at the Tennessee Association we believe this legislation will help. Not only will it allow smaller organizations that are affiliated with religious institutions to become certified exempt respite programs, but it also will allow licensure to be able to be issued to smaller organizations before you actually could not get a license until you serve 10 people. So this will allow individuals to be able to serve programs to become licensed at less than that, which will then also allow them to contract with managed care organizations to serve Choices members through Medicaid and other institutions as well. So this will.
So that's the hook here about how basically how some of these organizations or businesses can get paid.
Right.
Right.
So it could be paid for by Medicare, managed care, or just traditional Medicare?
Traditional Medicare and managed care, not yet. So Medicare Advantage will be coming to the plate very soon.
Gotcha.
Currently is through Medicaid, through TennCare, the Choices program, through the Area Agency on Aging and Disability, Veterans Administration. There are some other programs, long-term care insurance. Medicare Advantage just came out with uniform flexibility this past year, which will allow for adult day services to be included as a reimbursable service beginning in 2019, but obviously it has to be added by each managed care organization, and that's one of the big pushes from the Tennessee Association.
Should we put the contact information up?
We should.
Yeah.
We should.
All right, so look, we got that up here.
Both for Centennial Adult Care Center and the Veranda, and your phone numbers as well. So I'm excited about anything that's helping make sure that this is available for seniors in the community. And you know what? A payer source is always a good thing to help a program grow. We thank you both for being here.
Thank you.
And next, we're going to continue our legislation discussion with AARP.
Visit